Hi everyone, my name is Anna Elizabeth Wambrick. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you are new here. Today we have a full moon in Leo. So today I'll be reading your tarot cards in a way that's about releasing things, letting things go. Full moons are about cycles coming to an end, things closing, and so the tarot will be read in that way, in just a way again of releasing things, letting go, all of that. So I have 3 groups for you today. You can go ahead and pick by the card you can see, by the group number, by whichever one you're intuitively drawn to. And when you're ready, all the timestamps are below, and I will see you at the reading that you chose. Hi everyone, welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 1. So as a reminder, we do have a full moon today, so I will be reading the cards in a way that is about releasing things, letting things go. Okay, so group 1, you all picked Junko for your feather friend or bird friend here. So it's a card 30. 30 might be resonant for you. If not, don't worry about it. But this card is really about the energy. This bird feather is really about alchemizing energy. So a lot of times, this is actually a really nice card to pull for the full moon, because a lot of times when we need to let something go or release something, the problem is that we're attached to the story or the way someone was or a situation was. Like we think, okay, it needs to stay exactly the same so I can keep growing in this particular way. But the truth is, when we let things naturally move into the next thing, they need to be in our lives. So like a situation can change naturally, or the role someone was playing for us changes, or anything like this. This can really create space for what actually needs to happen in the next role we need to move into to come with ease. So this card is really about like letting things go. It's really about letting things kind of unfold instead of trying to control them, and just letting like people, places, situations, things, like instead of saying it needs to stay like this forever, realizing that when we let something go and we let it morph into the next thing it needs to be in our lives, that's actually serves us so much more, because it's not just like a thing for us, it's a thing we're in communication with, that we're evolving with together. So with this full moon, when I was talking, if anything came up for you or felt resonant for you in what I was saying, just trust that it is a time for us to release some things that might not be, or that we're trying to keep exactly the same way, that, everything in life has to grow and change. So this could just be a sign for you that it's time to let something go, and it's time to let something be different, or just kind of grow and expand instead of trying to control it to be exactly the way you're used to it being or what you thought it was going to be for yourself. So nice little on theme here for the full moon in Leo. Okay, next I'm going to go for your tarot. So we have the Star opening your reading, then Strength, then Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so 3 major arcanas in a row here, group 1. And we have the 6 of Wands, 2 of Wands, Ace of Pentacles, and King of Pentacles. Okay, so I mean, right off the bat, I feel like you have been doing a lot of alchemizing. You have been doing a lot of like, before we can move external mountains in our lives, we have to do the work that is inner, and that is not immediately beneficial in physical reality, or things that like we might not see the immediate result of us doing. And so I feel like you've been going through a lot of that, group 1. So we have the Star, Strength, and Wheel of Fortune. So to me, this just talks a lot about doing a lot of the inner work that, again, feels like so annoying, because no one like really sees all of that we do. No one can feel what it feels like except us. And so much of that inner work is invisible. And then that's what helps us to create space in physical reality for things to change. So the Star card is really about nurturing within yourself. It's really about, really refilling the waters, really replenishing yourself, really taking that time to turn inward and make sure that you have been giving yourself the love, care, and nurturing that you need. And then combining that with the Strength card, like that sounds nice. This is a pretty card, right? But sometimes it's really hard, and sometimes it sucks, and sometimes it just can feel like unbelievable to deal with, or to like how am I going to do this, right? This simple thing of replenishing myself, of taking care of myself, of picking myself back up after you've gone through a hard time. It can sound very simple, but the emotional process and turmoil and overhaul of it is usually not that. Because then we have the Strength card right next to it. And so again, using a lot of your inner strength to do that. It takes a lot of inner strength to pull yourself out of a dark place, to break a pattern, to let things change, to let something go so it can change, right? A lot of what we were talking about with this card can be about knowing that it is time to let things go and let things be on their path and let things move into what they need to move into. And the star and strength can sometimes be a reminder that, you know, the process of nurturing ourselves, of relearning to find our footing with ourselves, relearning how to take care of ourselves and let ourselves kind of grow into this newly expanded, healed self, can sometimes be very hard and can challenge us. And, you know, a lot of times we think like, wow, I am not ready for this. I didn't think I could do it, right? Sometimes we have to be strong in a way we didn't know we need to, because things were just kind of like going our way, but we thought, you know, we had practiced strength, but maybe things were just kind of going our way for us in a way that, you know, was very beneficial towards us. So then when it does come time to be like, okay, well, actually, what do I need to do to build that strength within myself? Like that's when our strength gets tested, when a lot of these like physical reality things supported us in a way that now is not happening anymore. And so it's up to us to kind of let that go and remember that, like, you know, so a lot of inner strength. So if you've been on that journey of rebuilding yourself, replenishing yourself, of calling on your inner strength to get to that next level, to put the pieces back together, I mean, that is very clear here, and something to really applaud yourself with, because that is not an easy task. And then what we have from that is Wheel of Fortune. So what I was talking about before, where when we do the inner work and we move mountains internally, then that's when like things start to change in physical reality. So this card is really about the hands of fate coming together for you, things finally moving, things getting going, all of that. So this is really just about knowing the inner work you've done is not in vain, and the work you've done where maybe, you know, you don't see immediate results because it's more like, again, cleaning up your internal landscape. That is so much more challenging to recognize that something is happening, because again, it's like invisible. There's not like really a quantifiable way to measure it. You know, it's just more about how we feel and trusting that doing those invisible actions do add up, even if we can't see that right away. And so this card is about saying, you know, things are going to start moving for you. If they haven't been, if you've been like putting so much effort into changing a pattern in your life, or again, picking yourself up, healing something, just kind of like finding your footing within yourself again, this card is really a reminder that it's not in vain. Something is happening, even if it doesn't feel like it. And it's important for you to remember that those things that are moving, like you're not in control of the whole world, right? You're just in control of yourself. And so especially all this time to turn inward and be strong within yourself is going to be beneficial. And then when you control that, then like this is, you know, God doing those things for us that we can't do for ourselves. It's all the pieces coming together. It's the hands of fate starting to move. It's, you know, slowly but surely things getting momentum. So if you've been in this place of limbo or feeling like nothing's ever going to happen, you know, this is just a reminder that when you would do that inner work, you know, eventually something's going to happen, right? So many times things don't work out because we quit right before they're about to happen, right? So the greatest indicator of something being successful or not is, you know, if we just show up and are ready to kind of deal with it and be ready to you know, be ready to do our side of the street. So when we take a little bit of action, it just energetically opens up to other things, and for you know, things to start moving. And if that's not happening for you, don't think there's anything wrong with you, right? Again, we're not, so much of these mainstream, you know, law of attraction conversations try to convince us that like, if you do this, you're going to get this immediately. And that's just not true. Sometimes things in life are just hard. Sometimes things just, you know, you're never going to force this one specific thing, no matter how bad you want it. Right. So this is really just about knowing that momentum will come and things will change, but it might not be the exact, you know, this is what it has to be in front of you. So if you feel like you've been trying and trying and nothing's happening, just remember that like something's got to give eventually. And there's nothing wrong with you if it's taking a certain amount of time, or it's not the exact thing you wanted, or it just looks a little different than before. Like, again, nothing wrong with you. It's just God is in charge and not us. But then once things do start moving, things start going forward, I feel like, you know, a lot of this, to me, the last, I don't want to talk about all four at once, so I'm just going to show you to me, it looks like forward momentum, right? So we have Six of Wands and the Two of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. So we'll talk about those two, then those two. But so, once things do start moving, I feel like it's really going to give you a confidence boost again. Sometimes, again, in the limbo, when we go through a hard time, it's ruts and funks are just part of life. And sometimes when we go through those, the only lesson we're supposed to learn is just how to be more kind and loving to ourselves, and to like have more faith in our higher power, instead of like beating ourselves up or feeling like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Because I can't make this happen, or it's not happening, or whatever, right? Sometimes going through a hard time is just a lesson for us to, feel more proud and kind within ourselves, and just be gentle to ourselves. So I feel like once things start moving, you will get a little bit of confidence back. You will be, on this Six of Wands, just kind of like moving forward a little bit, feeling better, feeling like, okay, I can do this. I'm moving, things are happening, with all of that. And then from there, that will lead you to this Two of Wands, which is about like having choice and having options. So if you've been feeling like you don't have any options, nothing's happening, nothing's coming to fruition for you, nothing's going on, this is saying like, it's all part of this domino piece of, nurturing yourself, finding the inner strength, then the hands of fate coming in with Wheel of Fortune, and then the Six of Wands of like, okay, I feel confident, I can do it. And then this Two of Wands just being like, okay, I did it, and now I have options, now I have choices, now I can choose the things that are the best for me, as I move forward, and realize that, I have so many choices available to me, even if it wasn't on my timeline. So maybe with this full moon, if you want to release some judgment of the self, or some ideas that like, oh, it has to be this specific way, or I have to make it happen in this specific thing, or it's going to be this specific, whatever, just trusting that, you will be moving, in a way that like you won't have to force anything that's for you. You can't miss what's for you, and you don't have to force what's for you. And so knowing that, if these things are just not being brought to you right now, it's again, not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just the timing that God is in control of, and we are not in control of. Because closing your reading, we have Ace of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. So I feel like from these choices, from these options, from these things coming up, you're kind of, this aces are about like a seed of something new. And so this Ace of Pentacles is really about like something new in physical reality. It could be abundance, it could be money, it could be an idea, it could be, I don't know, anything like that. But then going into the King of Pentacles, this is like a progression card, obviously. And so we can see that this little nugget, or this little thing that's brought to you, can grow and evolve into like this big, amazing, really abundant, fruitful thing. So I feel like with this group one, if you've just kind of been going through a hard time, and had to like alchemize a situation, or just like didn't want to deal with something that happened, which I get it, it sucks sometimes, what we have to do. But this can really be about knowing that, the redirection is God's protection, redirection is God's path, redirection is us being shown the way that actually will be most beneficial to us. And so when we look at this Ace of Pentacles, something that can start as like a little seed of something new really can turn into a lot of abundance and prosperity. And so it's about trusting the process of like, when you do get redirected, when you get pushed into a new way, it's not to punish you, it's not because you're not worthy, it's not whatever, it's just because this is God moving you into something that would be a better fit for you than, maybe what you might have chosen on your own. And so I think, again, with this full moon, you can release some of like, what's the story I'm telling myself about this? Like, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, this isn't meant for me. Like, seeing if you can release some of that, and again, frame it as like, God loves me, God's protecting me, God is doing something for me. It's just a lot of the things that feel really challenging to the ego are actually what we need on the soul level many, many times, so that we can have more abundance in our life, instead of just feeling like, I'm just moving along and nothing's working out for me and blah, blah, blah. So just if you want to release that story, that's kind of what I'm getting from this thing. You're going to be okay. Okay, it's going to work out eventually. The darkness can't last forever. The dawn always comes, right? Okay. Okay, so if you're new to my channel, I pick my cards in advance, but I don't cherry pick them. I don't look at them beforehand. So let's just look at this. Can you see that? This one says release, and this one says, what do you need to release? So really big message here for group one. I feel like this is a lot of energy around obviously releasing something, but just, I really feel like it could be the story you're telling yourself. A story could be, why did I have to go through this? Why me? Why is God punishing me? Why is this whatever? Just remember, God is there to help us get through annoying times in life. God is not there. God is not punishing us with those times. God is there as a tool to get through them, not to punish us for them. And remember, don't confuse like other people's free will decisions with God's will, right? We all have free will. It's part of this plane, that's part of this earth. And so don't confuse someone acting in a certain way as like, oh, that's God's will for me, that this asshole is in my life, or this person I don't like is in my life, or whatever. This is really just about knowing that, releasing that story. Sometimes a lot of our spiritual development comes from this. We have to release this idea that God is not like a police officer, God's not Santa Claus, God's not a genie, God's not like waiting up there to smite us, right? That's not what God is. And so I think what I'm really hearing with a lot of this releasing is the stories and the narratives and I had to let this thing go, or this person go, or this situation go, and now I have to alchemize it. Now I'm upset and it's taking so much strength from me. So this is really about, releasing that story within yourself so that you do have space to have something new flowing in. And then the part of way you can do that is we have the angel of forgiveness. I choose to forgive all those who have hurt me in the past. So again, when I was talking about, don't confuse someone's free will choices with God's will for you, right? We are not powerful enough to control other people. Everyone is on their own place. Like, you don't attract someone being like a giant jerk to you. Okay. You just don't. And so this could be forgiving. Forgiveness isn't about condoning the behavior. It's just about releasing the energy from your field. And then forgiveness can include forgiving yourself, right? Like beating yourself up, like, well, why didn't I know better? Why didn't I know this? And it's like, sometimes we just didn't know better, and that's it. Like, you don't have to beat yourself up about it. But this is a way to kind of like release things, is if you can find the meaning in it. And again, not in a romanticized like spiritual bypassing, I found meaning in this, but sometimes the meaning can just be forgiving yourself, being kind to yourself, accepting I did the best I could, but now I know I will act this way in the future, right? Because all of that is connected to the vibration of love, which we have, which again, love is not passive. Love is not, I'm a doormat, right? Love is setting a boundary. Love is saying no. Love is alchemizing a situation and letting it be what it needs to be instead of what our ego wants it to be. So love is having boundaries. Love is saying no. Love is having limits. Love is saying this is not what I will allow into my life, right? So all of that energy, love is like nurturing myself, finding strength in myself, choosing myself, right? All of that is the vibration of love in a way you can show up for yourself that maybe you haven't been before. So just remembering that, like, when you say no, when you release things, when you let this go, like having a boundary and saying no sometimes can be the most loving thing you can do in a situation if you can see that it's just so not helpful, or it's toxic, or it doesn't serve you or the other people involved. Just remembering, again, love is not just this kumbaya fake, like, I don't have any boundaries about anything, right? That's not what love is. Love is, has boundaries. Love is strong. Love is clear. Love is like, this is my limits that I cannot cross over. And also honoring other people's limits, right? If someone wants to leave your life, or a job isn't working out for you anymore, or any of that, this is all about remembering that vibration of love really is about just honoring yourself and knowing that sometimes like something that can be painful to us is actually the most loving thing that could be happening, which ego hates it, soul gets it, it's part of life. Then the last one, this is just specific message for some of you, so it might not resonate for everyone, but we do have financial healing coming out, yellow lily. Your money struggles are a thing of the past. Be open to all avenues to receiving, and you'll be provided for in every way. So if you have some money stuff coming up, it's interesting because Pentacles is typically associated with money in the tarot. So closing your reading with Ace of Pentacles and King of Pentacles, it also can just mean abundance, doesn't necessarily mean money, but because it is the earth sign suit, sometimes it's associated typically with money. So if you are in a rut, or you're kind of like, when you've been like putting yourself back together type of phase, and you kind of just been like, okay, I need like to get this together, I need to do that, I need to do this, right? And like, we're not stupid, right? I'm not going to tell you to just be totally reckless with your money and go insane, right? But if you've been needing a replenishment, this can be a sign that, just hang in there a little bit. And as you start to, again, do that inner work to move things out of your way, um, things will come to you. Like, you do the inner work and then the outer work comes the other way. But again, like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like we don't need money to be alive. It's not important, right? I get it. It's part of Earth. But this is really saying, that all that inner work you've done to change your beliefs, change your story, and it could just, one of those could just even be like being more responsible and having more limits with money, right? Doing all of that will be beneficial for you in the long term with everything. Okay, and I'm just going to close with one affirmation card for you guys in group 1. But I think with group 1, a lot of what I'm hearing for this full moon is just a lot of releasing a lot of stories that, to play small, to play safe, that, I have to check myself. I can't believe in abundance, right? A lot of that stuff is coming out. Group 1, okay, the card didn't want to come out. I feel my way into faith one step at a time. Okay, so again, I feel like, again, that's really mirrored in this reading of just kind of like, you do the inner work, then things change, then you get more confidence, then you have more choices, then you get to abundance, right? So I think, part of faith is one of those things that can feel like, am I doing something wrong? Because what the hell's going on? But with faith, it can only practice growing your faith by having faith. So I think part of this is trusting the process. It's about recognizing things come one at a time. It's about knowing that all you can do is one day at a time, one step at a time, one thing at a time, and you will get to the other side. So just really having trust and faith in, what you need to do for yourself. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a great full moon. Hi everyone, welcome. It's for everyone who picked group number 2. So as a reminder, this is a full moon reading, so I will be reading the cards in a way that's about releasing and letting things go, cycles ending, all of that. And so group 2, you guys picked the bird flicker. It's 28 if that resonates for you. But this flicker card is, it's about dreams. It represents dreams, and it represents using our dreams and knowing that our dreams are on purpose, and knowing that we do get a lot of messages through dreams. And sometimes it's not literal, right? It's like, oh, I dreamed of this person, so I need to contact them. Sometimes it is that, but sometimes it is about, how did you feel in your dream? What came up for you? What story do you think that's representative of yourself going on? Just knowing we do get a lot of messages from our higher power, from, if you believe in angels or ancestors or spirit guides, and whatever you believe in, knowing that our dreams are given to us on purpose, and that they do offer a way for us to kind of hear some guidance coming in for us. And so again, this flicker is really about, as you are looking for outside answers, you're watching a tarot reading, whatever you're doing, this is also about knowing that it is important for you to tap into your dreams and connect to yourself and really feel like, what guidance am I getting in my dreams? How did I feel? If you keep a dream journal by your bed, just kind of write down what happened, and not necessarily, like, again, it doesn't necessarily have to be, I heard from this person, so I know I need to do this, right? Sometimes it's not that immediate, but it can be about just paying attention to what the images you got, what you felt in your dream, who was there, and just kind of using that for some guidance. So this card is a specific message, but just paying attention to your dreams, especially around the full moon. We tend to get, it's like the word lunatic, right, comes from like a lot of crazy feelings that people had when the full moon would be out. And so just knowing that the full moon is a time for heightened emotions and awareness and dreamscapes, all of that. So if you have been feeling like you do need to connect to your dreams a little bit more, this is a very clear sign to do that, and that your dreams are intentionally trying to communicate with you. I can't get my hair right with that. Okay, so we're going to start with your tarot, and then I will do your oracle cards. Okay, wow, Knight of Pentacles right into the Queen of Pentacles, and then Six of Swords in reverse, Knight of Wands, 10 of Wands, 3 of Pentacles, and then Temperance. Okay. Um, I feel like group two, you guys are ready for something new and you need to do it in a way that you haven't done things before. Okay, I can't into it, but that's the general vibes I get from this reading. So I feel like Knight of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, this is like two things that are almost a match, right? So we know that the king and queen are typically the match in the suit, but here we have the knight and the queen, so like not quite a match, almost there, but not perfectly, click in. Okay, good, here we go. So this is about it's not necessarily a person, it could be, right? So it could be a romantic relationship or a platonic relationship, or something in your life just wasn't clicking, or it could be like a job you had to walk away from, or a situation or a family member, right? There's just something that was just like a little off, right? So these like look like they should work, maybe it looked good on paper, it seemed like it was the right thing, but it just wasn't. It's just not clicking, right? It's just not working for you, it's just not, doing what needs to happen. And so these two cards is just kind of like almost there but not quite, right? And it could be a thing where like, well, what's wrong? Both of these are kind of like walking to each other, making the offering, like the intention was there, it was supposed to be good, but it just was not, it just didn't fit anymore. And so I feel like you really recognize that, because we have the Six of Swords in reverse. So this is usually in the upright. In the upright, it's about mourning something, letting something go, but this feels like it was kind of just like a clean break, and just kind of like, okay, this thing wasn't for me and I know that, and so I'm ready to move forward and do something else. So I feel like, good for you. If And it's normal to have like, even if we make a decision like that, to have some of the doubts that come up of like, oh, is that the right choice? Should I have done that? Should I have tried more? Should I have, whatever. That's very normal to come up. But this was really just confirmation that it doesn't have to be a big emotional thing that you continue to play over and over again. It's just recognizing that, it didn't fit, it wasn't a match, and that's fine. It's not, it can be sad and emotional again, but it's not like totally turmoil of like you lost the most valuable thing that was ever going to be given to you in life ever, right? That's not what this means. This is about, knowing you did a clean break, it was what it was, you did what you had to do, and now you're kind of like getting to the other side of that, and just being like, okay, that was it, and I'm ready to move forward, and I don't need to doubt myself or question whether that was the right thing for me to do. Because center of your reading, again, we have Knight of Wands, so this is like, all right, that wasn't it, and I am ready to go. Let's go, let's move forward. Knight of Wands is about a lot of forward motion. The Wand suit is about passion. And so this is about the energy of just deciding like, it's time to move forward, it's time to make something happen, I'm ready for the next thing. Again, if it was like if it was related to a relationship or a job or an opportunity, or I mean, whatever's coming up for you, this is like you're ready to go to the next one and to make it happen. You're ready to be like, okay, that was fine, I learned my lesson, here we go, let's move, right? So this is really about knowing that you did the right thing and it was time for you to move forward, and it is time for you to get to this next layer and this next thing, and you're looking forward, you're all bucked up, ready to go, here we go, let's move, and I think that's great. And so I think with the full moon, maybe what you want to release is identifying the things that weren't a match, things that how it didn't work, and just say like, I don't want to go into something that has those particular things going on in it again, right? So this can really be about just knowing it's time for me to let X, Y, and Z go, and instead move forward and choose, this particular thing that actually is a better match for me than this other one of what I thought, right? So that really is about forward momentum and doing all of that. But what I see here for these last three cards, I think just some advice that's coming out for you, group two, is you have 10 of Wands to 3 of Pentacles to Temperance. This is about finding balance and making sure you are like identifying some of the lessons you got from why this wasn't a match, and making sure you don't repeat those patterns in the next situation, right? So it's not just about like leaving the job or ending the relationship or whatever. It's about making sure you don't bring that same energy into this next situation that you're in. It's about making sure that you don't continue to play that narrative or play that energy for yourself in your life if it's not something that is you want to end the pattern, not just like the physical reality thing. So you want to do the inner work to be like, okay, well, what do I need to do for myself to change that besides just, getting rid of like the physical reality situation. And so part of that, there's two very clear advice things coming out, but again, take that as it resonates, right? This might not resonate for you, and there might be some other patterns. What's coming out very clearly is don't try to do everything yourself and rely on a team. Okay, so this is about obviously exhaustion. It's about carrying too much. It's about working hard and not smart. So just trying not to don't try to do everything at once. And it could just be like, cutting things out of your life in general, besides just in this situation, but just being like, okay, I know I need less time doing this, this, and this. And so I'm ready to put this thing down, or I'm ready to, not, if it's a job, I'm ready to not do things that are not within my job description. So this is really about knowing your limits and knowing what to say no to and what to say yes to, and instead allowing things to kind of like move through you and be, just getting very clear of cutting things out, right? Sometimes when we feel unsatisfied or things are working, we think, I need to add more things to my life. I need to do this, this, and this, but it's actually about letting things go and releasing things and letting, yourself do less things than before. Because then we have the Three of Pentacles. This is about teamwork. This is about utilizing all the resources you have. And so it could be about delegating. If we go back to this card, it could be about, not being in isolation so much. It could be about just even spending more time communicating with other people, getting ideas with other people, right? It's not just necessarily like doing less. It's about making sure that you have a team, that you feel supported, you feel loved and cared for. And so opening up in that way, not just, again, this is what I'm doing, that's it. Like I'm going to do everything. I'm in charge of everything, right? Not just that. It is making sure you have this balance in there too. Because then closing your reading, we have Temperance, which is again about finding balance. It's about pouring the cups, making sure they're even, one foot in, one foot out, one foot on land, one foot in the water, like just finding this balance between what works and what doesn't work for you. So again, what I'm really hearing is, what didn't work in this situation, what wasn't resonant for you, and just kind of be like, okay, moving forward, I know if this thing happens, this is the boundary I'm going to have. Or if I'm presented with this particular option, I know that I need to do this other thing instead, right? So this is really just about knowing that it's important for you to find balance and just, learn from the situation. Again, what I was talking about, making sure that you put an end to the pattern, the emotional pattern, instead of just ending something in physical reality, which is good, right? That's important. We want to make sure that we are having limits and not doing things that don't serve us anymore. But it's also about making sure we find that balance within ourselves to move forward in that way. Excuse me. Okay, let's look at your oracle cards. Okay, so where are we going to go? So we'll start with this one. So we have the Angel of Reconciliation. Let me be fully reconciled with what I have left behind. So this is just exactly what I was talking about, of just, part of reconciliation, part of we can release things, we can let things go once we realize, like, what did I learn from this? And again, it doesn't have to be glorifying like a bad situation or a traumatic situation or anything, right? We're not talking about that. We're talking about like, well, I just learned that I needed to be kinder to myself, or I learned I didn't need to internalize this other person's action. So we're never finding like, we're not trying to romanticize messed up things. We're not trying to say like, that was amazing, I learned so much, right? The lesson could just be learning to be more compassionate and loving and kind to yourself. And so part of reconciling and part of moving forward, and what I hear, like what I was just talking about with this Temperance card, is just really about making sure that you reconcile like maybe the ways you were too harsh to yourself, you judged yourself, you whatever. But this is really about knowing that you have to reconcile with yourself. And even if maybe you acted in a way that wasn't the best, right? So maybe this thing wasn't a match for you, and so your default was to kind of like go be really defensive or get super intense or whatever. But this is more about knowing that it's time for you to reconcile with your own self, and then also maybe the ways you might have acted with that, and knowing that you don't need to like perpetuate this. um if there's any unfinished like kindness or anything you need to heal within yourself, you don't need to keep being mean to yourself or anything like that. And reconciling can just mean like forgiveness. It doesn't mean you have to allow something back into your life, or you have to do something again, or you have to, whatever. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means, you know, it's sometimes it's time to let something go. And a way to do that is to just kind of make peace with who you were then in that situation. And then we have, I just think this is interesting. We have two of these cards with the hands on it, so similar imagery on both of them. Okay, so the first one is the Alchemist. So again, part of the Angel of Reconciliation energy, this energy is just about knowing that it's up to you. You can make a choice to have the situation be different, to take what you've gone through and emotionally tell a new story about it, so that it's not as like damaging or haunting or intense as it was before. And again, this is not condoning, this isn't allowing, the saying, oh yeah, do whatever you want, no problem, right? This is about just knowing that we do have the ability to take things that have happened to us and tell a story about them that is kind and loving and compassionate to ourselves, right? We don't have to, and again, we're not going to pretend like certain things don't affect us for the rest of our life or things like that. But this is about, knowing, okay, this is what happened. And so what story am I going to tell myself about the situation? Who am I going to choose to be moving forward based on that? And then with that comes infinite power within. So again, this is just that same energy of trusting yourself, of knowing you do have this energy inside of you to tell a new story, to be different, to choose a different pattern, to find that balance within yourself, right? To use the resources outside of you to feel empowered and clear, and know that you don't need to figure everything out on your own, right? Infinite power within doesn't mean that you don't need help from anyone else, you don't have any outside resources, right? It just means that you have the strength and the ability to trust that intuition. That could mean, okay, let me ask this person for help, or let me know, here's an expert, let me ask them, or I know, I'm interested in this type of like healing, so I need to see this particular doctor, right? So infinite power within means that you trust yourself to seek out those resources, not that you suddenly won't need any of them because you have infinite power within, right? Infinite power within means being humble enough to know that you do have an option, and you can ask for help from people and places and things around you. So again, you're not doing everything on your own, because that's not the point. And also, speaking of asking for help, we have communicate with your angels, the Bird of Paradise card. You have the ability to connect with the beings of love who surround you, communicate with your angels, and deliver their healing messages to others. So again, when we talk about not doing on your own, that's not just in physical reality, that's your angels, spirit guides, ancestors, whoever, whatever you believe in. Just know that, there's so much help for us all the time, but we're, as humans, we just love to be like, I'm going to do it on my own. I can take care of it. This is all me, blah, blah, blah. Like, no problem. I don't need anyone else, right? So this is just reminding you, you can pray for help, you can ask for help. If you see something that looks like a sign to you, right? This one flower might feel like a sign to you, or this one, I don't know, song or whatever. Just trust it's your message from your angel. So it's supposed to resonate for you. So if you're like, don't ask someone else like, oh, is that a sign, right? Like, it's not going to resonate for them. Trust you, and trust the communication that comes with you, and knowing that like it could just be a little it's just a little message like, you're not alone, we're here for you, we're watching out for you, this is going to be okay, is important there, in going along with that. Okay, and then last one, a personal issue reaches resolution, full moon in Cancer. So you might be a Cancer or have Cancer in your chart. No worries if not, just a message for some of you, but this is just, again, a reminder that, a lot of the things we go through, it does serve its purpose. Once we find the meaning in it and we're ready to move forward, it does serve its purpose. And so part of this could be, once you can find that balance in yourself, that's when like the energy can kind of get cleaned up and just kind of be released, and the soul contract can dissolve and all of that. So this is really talking about how, you know, resolution can come from just being willing to take responsibility for yourself and being willing to move forward, knowing you're not responsible for everything, but you aren't going to pretend like something didn't happen if it happened, right? So this is really about knowing that it is time for you to find resolution and to release something, but a way you can do that is by you know, turning inward, kind of focusing on what was the lesson, what was going on here, with all of that. And then I stopped for a second while I was talking because something else that came through. So with your angels, and just going back to the flicker card in the beginning with your dreams, okay, pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to what comes through with that. Just remember that, you know, again, things are given to us for a reason, and we're being communicated with from the other side all day, every day. But we just tend to not really pay attention to it, right? Because we're so caught up in our own stories that our ego is telling us about certain things. Okay, and I just want to close with one affirmation card for you in group 2. Okay, believing in spiritual guidance gives me certainty and the freedom to keep dreaming even when I can't yet see the result. So I feel like, again, for group 2, this was a lot of feeling supported and having faith, and kind of like as you are moving forward and rewriting patterns and finding balance in your life, just remembering that you are being guided. There are so many energies and things that are looking out for you, and just knowing that, you know, you can allow spiritual guidance to get you to this path of where you want to go. So as you decide it's time for me to move forward, choose something better, even if you've never had it before, just having faith that, you know, if you feel guided to make these choices and these decisions, you will be guided to the thing that is for you. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all of that is linked below. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and a happy full moon. Hi everyone, welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 3. So you all picked the card Blue Jay. Oh, and as a reminder, this is full moon reading, so we'll be reading cards in that way about releasing and letting things go. Okay, but we have the Blue Jay, which is 16. So that might resonate for you. If not, don't worry too much. But this Blue Jay card, this is the energy of about being gentle. And so we live in a world where, you know, gentleness in general is kind of frowned upon or not seen as important or valuable or anything like that, no matter the situation, right? And a lot of times we're told that gentleness is equal to like being weak or being not strong or not proud of yourself or not able to stand up for yourself, right? But there's so many times, it takes so much strength to be gentle and be self-disciplined in that way, when so many things in our world encourage us not to do that. And so this isn't like, again, gentleness is not being passive. It's not about being walked all over. It's not about like, you know, having no limits or no boundaries, but gentleness is available to us, and we are able to set boundaries in a gentle way. We are able to do the things we have to do to maintain our peace and protect our energy in a gentle way, in a way that's calm and centered, instead of just going like, you know, insane energy all over the place, right? So this is definitely something that happens on earth. And so this card of group 3 is just a reminder, if you need to call in some gentleness in the way you're doing things, again, not saying like you need to you need to not have boundaries or not have limits or anything like that. That's not what we're saying at all, but this is just about seeing if you can call in more gentle in the way you do that, right? So instead of telling someone like no and screaming at them all this, like, can I just be more gentle? Or if I need to break this news to someone, can I just be more gentle in the way I do that? Or if I need to do this thing, can I be more gentle in the way I need to do it, right? So this isn't about, again, like just having an end all be all nothingness. This is more about knowing that we can all be a little bit more gentle in a world that pushes us to be more harsh and challenging and not kind and not you know, like how this is more about the how we're doing the things we have to do to protect our peace, because it's an ego hit, because it feels good, because it's normalized in society, because it's encouraged by society, right? This is more about bringing in some of that gentle energy instead of just feeling like this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to do it harsh and mean and all of this. But knowing that gentleness, it does take strength to be gentle in the limits we have and the way we speak to others, the way we speak to ourselves in a world that pushes so much the opposite all the time. Okay, so group 3, I'm going to start with your tarot and then we'll go into your oracle cards. So we have Knight of Cups, Nine of Pentacles, Seven of Wands, Four of Wands, Ace of Swords, Four of Cups, and Four of Swords. Okay, so 3 4s in here for you. So 444 might be an angel number to look out for, resonate with. Yeah, so I feel like group 3, the message I'm getting is just, you got into that trap of life, which no judgment, I do this, we all do this, it's human, it's part of being on earth, this trap of life of like, okay, let me just tell you what I say and I'll say it. The trap of life of thinking that, life is not a ladder, it's not a line that we move up. Sometimes we think, okay, well, I went through this hard time, I learned my lesson, so now I know for the future this particular thing. Or I learned this lesson, so now I know that this particular thing isn't like the end of the world to me anymore. Or this particular thing isn't whatever, right? But the truth is we can never out intellectualize the human experience. And as long as you are alive, there are going to be things that are happening that challenge us, that push us, that change us in a way that maybe we didn't think was going to happen before. Okay, so I feel like with group 3 with you guys, you have the Nine of Cups into the Nine of Pentacles. So I feel like slow and steady, you worked your way towards something, like, whether it's like a health goal or a job or like like communication in a relationship, right? There's something that you worked your way towards, slow and steady. Here I go, I'm going to figure it out. And then you get there, this Nine of Pentacles, and it's like, okay, I did it. I reached my goal, whatever, like all of that, all these things, like good job. You put in the work, you put in the time, you put in the effort. But then what the hell is this? My ego stories are coming up again, or I'm having problems, or I see a situation that, I thought this would be different, right? So Seven of Wands is about conflict, but it's about usually conflict in the mind and stories we're telling ourselves, because you can see this person like 2 different shoes on, no one else is in the picture, right? So it's like kind of these things we have to battle within ourselves, and these stories we're telling ourselves in our mind that might not necessarily be real in physical reality. And like, again, maybe they are, I don't know. But this is just really identifying the ways that sometimes we make things real that don't have to be. And so what I'm really hearing from this section is, there's that saying, you probably heard it, right? Like there's no, it's just up leveling problems in life, right? So when you are single, let's say, and you really want to be in a relationship, when you're single, you have to deal with the self-doubt that comes with, oh, am I worthy enough? Will I ever find a partner? Will I whatever? But then once you get in a relationship, there's this energy of like, oh my God, now I have to work on my communication. Now I have to do this. Now I have to be mindful of this other person. Now I have to whatever, right? So there's always something to balance. And so I feel like what can happen with this situation is you worked hard and you're like, I made it, I got it. And you get to like the promised land, the situation, and then you get there and then you're like, holy crap, I still have my ego stories to deal with. I still have these things to unlearn. I still have to check my mind. I still have to see the ways that I'm perpetuating these things about myself that, might not necessarily be true. So this Seven of Wands, I think, with this new moon or this full moon, you can look at the ways that, what do I need to let go of? What stories do I need to release? What things aren't serving me to get there? Like what triggers come up once I feel like, oh, I have this thing and then all my problems will go away, right? Once you get to a certain level of something, it doesn't mean that you have to stop working on yourself. You have to stop doing the emotional intelligence maintenance for yourself, right? It just means that it's in a different way. And sometimes it can be a little more sneaky because we're not used to that particular way it's showing up for us in life. Because the center of your reading is really beautiful. You do have the Four of Wands. So this is about like the 1111 card. It's the gateway to this next thing. It's this up leveling of your life. It's feeling like taken care of in a lot of ways. So this is really about like this abundance is there for you, and like feeling the joys and the peace that can come from life is there for you. But it is just so much about, identifying the ways that we um, become our own worst enemy when we can't control our own mind or our own energy or our own this, right? And just not, and obviously we can only do that to a certain degree. So, we're not here to shame anyone, but this is just about, what are the ways you can be responsible for yourself in a way that maybe you didn't think you had to before? Or what's been coming up for you in a way of like, oh, well, I thought I wouldn't have to deal with this particular thing once this other thing came into my life. So with this full moon, maybe releasing some of those stories, some of those expectations, some of the ways that, and no judgment, we all do this, right? We think we'll be saved, or this particular problem or issue won't come up for me anymore because I am in this new situation now, right? That's very normal, very human, especially it's human in general, and especially because all of us get socialized into that, of being saved, of, all my problems are over because I got this job, got this partner, got married, bought this house, or moved here, whatever the ego has clinged to. But it's about knowing that, we still have a role to play within ourselves, no matter what is or isn't going on around us with that. Because at the end of your reading, I think big one here, like always, I love boundaries, but I think for group 3, this is really coming out crystal clear for you. Ace of Swords. So Ace of Swords is, all the aces are about like the brand new, the dropping, here we go, like the new thing. So the ace here, I think, is like this birth of what are the new boundaries you need now that you've like gotten into this next level of your life, right? So the every next level and next layer of ourselves requires new boundaries from us. So this is really saying like, what are you hearing are the boundaries that you need so you don't like become this giant tornado, insane, out of control person in this particular situation, right? So this Ace of Swords is really about boundaries. It is really about knowing, what maybe you've never had to set this particular boundary before, or maybe you didn't realize that you needed to have this certain thing before, or, it could be something new. And so maybe the full moon for you could be about releasing what are the boundaries I need to release that aren't serving me anymore versus so I can make space for these new ones to come in and this new awareness for myself. And again, knowing, like going back to this Blue Jay card, just knowing that it doesn't have to be like this crazy, insane, out of control thing. It can be gentle, it can be kind, it can be, it can be in a way that is gentle. I can't think of another word, right? But it is a way that is not, the end of the world, like everything with all of that. And so one way, the guidance I'm seeing here for you, this 4 of Cups into the 4 of Swords, this can be, not accepting every single thing that comes to you and taking time to rest and reflect, right? So sometimes the 4 of Cups, this is about like, not receiving something, the arms are crossed energetically, very much like I don't receive this. And so this could be about knowing that it's not time for you to accept something new. Especially it's not time to like, sometimes when we feel uncomfortable, we want to distract ourselves with like, alcohol or food or a video game or Netflix or, going on a bunch of dates or whatever. But this could be about, I think, really turning inward, especially with this 4 and this 4 right next to each other. And then this 4 of Swords really being about resting and, praying if that's in your spiritual toolkit, but knowing that not accepting, not looking for something outside of you to kind of like numb that and be like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to set these boundaries. I don't want to look at the ways that I need to do this, right? But instead knowing that, okay, it's time for me to turn inward. It's time for me to be still. It's time for me to hear, what's going on. It's time for me to be gentle with myself, right? So gentleness is not just the way we communicate with others, but it's about knowing that, okay, I'm in a new level of my life. I'm in a new situation. I've never done this before. I've never set these kind of boundaries before. So I need to do something different. And so I'm going to choose to be gentle with myself as I take the time to not distract myself with external things and instead choose to go inward and just be, a little bit more kind and loving to myself in this situation. Because again, with those 2 4s, we also have this 3rd 4 in your reading. I'm just reminding you that it is about getting to that place of peacefulness and not, being torn all over the place and back and forth and feeling like completely out of control about everything. It still is about showing up for yourself and being kind to yourself and not just, this is the boundary I have to set, so I'm going to go into all this. It's about being more grounded, more centered, controlling ourselves more than we have before as we continue to move forward and learn and grow. Okay, let's look at your oracle cards. Okay, so we'll start with this one. So we have the angel of trust. I trust in the divine power of goodness and love to protect and guide me. So again, I feel like if you've been feeling a little out of control or just feeling like I don't know what to do or I don't know how to make things happen or I don't know how to whatever, the angel of trust is just here to remind you that, it's part of the process. Again, no, as much as we wish sometimes, like what I was saying in the beginning of your reading group 3, that the human experience meant that we will never be challenged or have to grow or change ever again. That's not how it works, right? It's not like that you reach this peak and then you're like done with the human experience, the end, right? Maybe when you die, right? But before that, um, if you're here to grow and be inward and do all of that, the angel of trust really is about remembering that we go through these things so we can evolve on the soul level, because in my personal opinion, that is why we are here on earth. And I'm going to assume if you're watching a tarot reading on YouTube, that is part of what you believe too. And so knowing that, this whole process, even though it can feel overwhelming or messy or like I don't know what to do, just having trust and faith, trust the process, trust that you will get to the other side. And again, it's not to like punish you or harm you. It's life on life's terms. And then we have the beautiful card Transmute. So I think this lovely bee and then the eye. So I think, again, just a lot of these things we go through in life of just these patterns of like, wow, I didn't realize I was that like emotionally unhinged when this particular thing happened in my life, right? So we have so many opportunities to learn so much about ourselves throughout the course of our lifetime. We have opportunities to go inward. We have opportunities to go deeper. We have opportunities to listen to ourselves and connect to ourselves more. And so again, this transmute energy is just about knowing that you can transmute, and we're presented these parts of ourselves in the timing and the way that we are, so that we can get to the other side and we can feel yeah, like again, we have transmuted something, like we've done something to get to the other side, like we we use our energy to grow and change within ourselves on the soul level. And then we have cleanse your energy, the African violet. So when you release negativity, the answer to your question shines through. So again, I feel like going on with this gentleness energy with the blue jay, and then this energy of like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. X came up, I have to deal with this. I feel like, this is really just saying, look, this is just part of life. This identifying a new part within yourself, a new thing that comes up, something else that you're like, what? I didn't know I even had to work on this. All of that is part of being alive. All of that is part of the human experience. And so this is really, reminding you that, again, with this full moon, it's the story of like something's wrong with me, that I have like another thing to work through and this and that, right? The only way to have nothing to work through in life is, again, if you die or if you are just totally uncommitted to looking at yourself or doing anything, which, a lot of people are. But if you are willing to grow and change and be a different person and want to be different, right? And then this cleanser energy is really just reminding you that, like, can you reframe this again with this full moon of like, this is to get me to be a match for what I want more than it is like to punish me, right? So this has helped me evolve on the soul level, not to punish me or feel like, there's something wrong with me. And then we have fear is an illusion. So again, I just feel like, fear, if you've heard false evidence appearing real or face everything and rise, right? So both of these acronyms for fear, just reminding us that, when we feel unstable, when we feel like the seven of wands, right? When we feel like that is just, it's time for us to, get to the other side and remember that when we get pushed out of our comfort zone, it's time to grow and change. It does feel uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean something's wrong with us. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It doesn't mean, we don't have any power in ourselves, right? It just is part of, the situation that we're going through. And then last one, we have it's time to take action, new moon in Aries. So you might be in Aries or have Aries in your chart. If not, don't worry about it. It's not super important. But here again, this is reminding you that I think it's time to take action with these boundaries. And sometimes action could be, again, turning inward, listening to yourself, channeling some of that gentle energy that also came out in your reading, but knowing that, it's time to face these problems and, be like, hey, I'm ready to move forward with this. I'm ready to release these particular things. So again, with this full moon, if it feels resonant for you to just do some free writing on like this is the pattern I want to let go of. This is the thing that doesn't serve me anymore. This is, whatever. So it's time to take action is definitely a good reminder that, we're presented things and they resonate for us in our field when it's time for us to, because we are ready and able to, to change them, to alchemize them, to be gentle with ourselves, to realize that this is being brought to us right now for a reason. There's so many things we deal with in life that we could only have dealt with once it was the exact time that it was meant to be brought to us. So this is just reminding you that the lessons that are coming up for you right now are because they are the lessons for you to deal with right now. Okay, it doesn't mean like something's wrong with you or like you failed or whatever, but this is just a reminder that it's here because it's time to look at it. It's here because it was brought to you on purpose. Okay, I trust that my powerful intentions combined with my faith are enough to allow my vision to become my reality. So I feel like, again, another powerful message that, this Four of Wands that was the theme of your reading is just a reminder that, like, to get to the other side, it's like you do have to go through some of this muck and some of this, like, hardship of setting boundaries, changing things in your life, doing all that, but knowing that if you have the intention to set the boundaries, to be gentle with yourself, to make different choices, that will be enough for you to be focused and be guided in a loving way. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all of that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a great full moon.